Hi guys, welcome to the parent method. If you want to follow along, please open the project file for After Effects, of course, parent-method.aep. And please try to follow along, okay? You might have more compositions here or even images depending on what you are going to do in this section. So the parent method is extremely powerful when you want to group animations together. For example, a child will follow its parent, and you want whatever the parent does, the child will do. So the concept is like this. You don't group layers together, but you create the same transformations from the parent layer to the child layer. Okay, let's see some examples here. I will select both baby sheep and mother sheep. I'll click and drag and drop them inside the composition just over here. Let's take the baby sheep and put it on the side. Now they're very big. I will select both of them, press S, and reduce the scale to 30%, okay, because we need the space. Now the baby sheep, I will make it 20%. I want it smaller. Let's put them next to each other. Now let's start working how to parent. There is here the column parent and link. If you don't have it, very easy. Come, for example, to the name and right click. You will see columns and make sure that parent and link is checked. Now for you guys who are not using After Effects 2018, the latest version, then you will not find end link. You only find parent. The end link is a great upgrade in CC 2018. It really makes life easier, but mainly is directed towards creating very easily certain expressions. We see that later on in the expression section. So make sure it is checked, and you will have the parent and link column. Let's select both layers, twirl them up and down. We can see all the transformations. You can parent a child to a parent, okay? And you do so, any change in the position, scale, and rotation will also be affected on the position, scale, and rotation of the child. Let's take an example. If you want to parent, you can use the drop down over here. This is much easier when you have lots of layers. And you can select the parent. So you consider this is the child and you're selecting a parent. Or you can use the pick whip over here. It's very nice. If you release it, look what it's doing. To use the pick whip, you click and drag and just point it to the parent layer and you just release. Now notice what's happening when you use the position. If you use the position on the parent layer, also the child will follow. You notice it's following up and right and left and so on. Okay, but notice something very important. Look at the position in the baby sheep here, or the child. There is no change in the position. Okay, this is enigmatic, right? The position here will stay the same. That's because the child can also have his own animation. If you use the scale in the parent, also the child is scaling with the parent. Here you are. Okay, pretty easy. These transformations are according to the anchor point of the parent. You're doing some changes in the position, scale, and rotation of the parent. Use the anchor point of the parent, and the child here will follow the anchor point of the parent. This is very obvious when you use the rotation. If you rotate, you notice the child also, or this baby sheep, is rotating according to the anchor point of the parent. If you change the anchor point of the parent, for example, just over here, you will notice that they are both rotating according to the anchor point of the parent. So actually, this is the concept of parenting. I'm undoing now. You parent one layer to another layer. The parented layer is called the child, and the main layer, you notice this is the main layer here we put, is called the parent. As simple as this. So in the next lecture, we'll create some more animation and we'll use the parent method and see exactly how it works. I'll see you then. In the previous lecture, guys, you've seen how parent works. We had just a brief introduction. In this lecture, you are going to learn really how to use the parent method. Now, it's not about doing great graphics. I'm here focusing so you can learn the method. It's up to you later on, to remember there is parenting and you can use it and create great animations. So please, let's focus on the method and not on the greatness of the graphic, because more I complicate the graphic, more you will lose on the subject itself. So let's start here our animation. First of all, let's take the baby sheep and unparent it. To unparent, you click on the drop down here and you say none. Now it's not parented at all. Notice I move the mothership, nothing happens. Let's put this guy over here, and we want to work with the mothership. First of all, let's start animating the mothership or the parent later on a certain position path. I will keyframe the position over here. Come after 1.5 seconds, something like this, and take it just over here. Then come later on at 3 seconds. We don't want to make a long animation, just a simple one. Let's put it over here. And at the end here, we want maybe to take it up here. Okay, something like this. Cool. You can come over and adjust it. You know all these tricks already. So we have a simple animation for the mothership, and we want to make it the big parent. Let's now create something else. Let's go over here and take our ellipse tool. So use the ellipse tool, and you just create an ellipse here. I will use Control and Shift, Command and Shift on the Mac to create the ellipse. The stroke is huge, so I'll make it, let's say 20 only. Okay, and let's take the fill and make it just a solid fill. That will work the yellow. Let's reduce the opacity a bit on the fill. We take the shape layer, and of course I'm gonna rename it a circle so I know which one is which. I want to drop it under the mother. Here you are. Let's open the circle and add some strokes. Okay guys, we will animate the stroke through rotation of the layer itself. So we go round cap, and we come to dashes. You know already that. We click plus, another plus, we make the dashes 0, and we increase the gap in between the dashes, and you have very nice dots all around. Let's twirl it up, the circle, and then let's parent the circle to the mothership. You notice here the order of the layers has nothing to do with the parenting. So it doesn't matter where the layer is, you can always parent through the drop down. If you play now, you notice wherever the mothership is going, the circle is going, which is pretty cool now, slowly and easy. But then you can introduce more transformation on the child without affecting the parent. Let's open the rotation, keyframe the rotation over here. Come to the end of the composition and press End on the main keyboard. Maybe we put it at 2. So now we have a rotation for the child and the movement of position on the mothership, and notice how the parenting is working. That's pretty interesting, by the way. Now let's add more. Let's go to the shape layer and create a star. I will put the stroke to 1, and let's change the color to something nicer. Let's say we take something orange. Okay, and let's create a very simple star just over here. I press Shift so it's straight up, press the space bar, move it over here, and then we go to the shape layer and call it star 1. I will duplicate it another 3 times to have 4 stars. Let's take number 4, the selected one, and put it under here. And the number 3, let's put it over here. Let's bring them nearer. And number 2, let's put it on the right, just over here. Cool. Let's bring this one nearer. We can select these 2. And to make it nice, we can just align them. And then these top, we can just align them horizontally or vertically as you wish. Now, I'm going to take the 4 stars, and instead of parenting them to the mothership, the previous parent, I want to parent them to the circle. Now the circle is parented to the mothership, and of course is following the position of the mothership. Then these stars are parented to the circle, which has a rotation. What will be the animation here? Let's play and see exactly. Now you notice that the stars are rotating exactly like the circle. But since the circle is also parented to the mothership, the small stars are following also the path of the mothership. So it's pretty interesting animation. Let's take now the stars and exaggerate a bit. Let's open their rotation, keyframe the rotation, come to the end of the comp if you like, anywhere, and then add a rotation of -3, for example. Let's make them fast. Let's play and see exactly what happens. So the stars now are following the circle, and they have their own animation, and the circle is following the mothership. Now imagine if you had to do this without the parent method. In the next lecture, we start connecting the baby ship at a certain time within the composition to follow the mothership or even the big circle here. I'll see you in the next lecture. In the previous lecture, we created our animation here. It's very cool. Now we want to link this little baby here, the small ship. Let's say that when you come over here, let's take this baby and put it here. Okay, we want to link the baby just over here. It starts with the mothership. So what you will do is to use the pick whip and just put it on the mothership. That's pretty cool. But now notice what happened. It's starting to follow from the beginning here. So it goes up and down from the beginning. That's not really what you wanted. We wanted it to pick, for example, just from over here. So how do you do that? Well, the best way to do it is to split the layer baby ship. If you come to edit and split the layer. So now you have two layers and they are both parented. If you take the first layer and at a certain position, of course, let's say just over here, you unparent it, okay? Now notice where you unparented is very important because this is where it's gonna leave the bottom layer. So if you play your animation now, it will pick it from here and it will start. Cool animation. Now let's say when it comes over here, this child decides, okay, I don't want to be with the parent and he wants to go off. So let's split the layer again. That will be Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D on the Mac, and remove the parent from the mothership here. And then maybe we can create an animation using the position. We keyframe the position here, and then after some time or at the end, you can take this guy and say, okay, me, I'm running away, bye-bye. Let's see exactly how is the animation now. It's pretty cool. It picks it, moves with it, and then at certain times says, bye, I'm going. So it's a pretty speedy. Let's put it here so we can see it. I'm gone. Okay, so this is the concept of how to remove and to set the parenting by splitting the layers. This is the best way and I recommend that you use it. Now, since we have done such a beautiful animation, why not adding a certain background? Okay, guys, that will be cool. Let's twirl up all the layers. Okay, select one, Control A, select all. And let's add, of course, for the background, a solid layer. Okay, actually, I don't want to add a solid layer. I want to add a shape layer. I will come to shape here and just double click. So you have a big shape layer over here. Let's arrange the fill and make it 100%. Cool. Let's take this shape layer and rename it as background. I will write BG, background. Let's go to the effects and preset and look for Star Wars. Actually, star is CC Starburst, and drop it on the background. Now you have very nice background with the stars. Let's change it a bit. Okay, the scatter is low, so let's scatter it more. Okay, the speed is too high. Let's take down the speed. Let's play it and see. Yeah, that's not bad. You can also decrease the space grid to 2. Here you are. But now let's do something else. Notice that I used a shape layer, and you're wondering why I didn't use a solid layer. Well, because in this effect, a shape layer is much nicer for colors. Let's say I put a stroke, okay? And then change the color of the stroke to yellow, something you can see. Here you are. Notice what's happening now. You have certain dots. I will make the size bigger, okay? You have certain dots that are yellow and others that are white. This is because CC Starburst will work with the colors of the stroke and the fill. There is something very interesting you can do. Come to the stroke and turn it into a linear gradient. Cool. Now it has multiple strokes. I already prepared that. You can add the colors that you want. To add the color, just click here and you can change the color to whatever you like. I will take it to something bluish. Nope. Okay, here it will do. If you click OK, you notice that it's usually all the colors within the stroke and the fill. And this is very interesting. Now you can play with it the way you would like and adjust it. Here you are. So you have a very nice and very multicolor background. Just to show you here the tip, it's nice to play with it. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this lecture was interesting. I hope you enjoyed the background. Please come to the Starburst and start working on it and playing around and add the background. Now the main subject here is about parenting, and I hope you are going to use parenting later on. In this lecture, guys, I will introduce you to the null object, how to apply it, how to use it, and mainly how to use it as a parent. I'm going to keep everything very simple here for you to understand the concept. It's practically very easy. But later on in the course and during your work, you will notice that there is no substitute for the null object, mainly when you're working with 3D and certain effects. If you want to follow along with me, please open the project file nullobject-start.aap. Let's explore a bit what the null object is all about. We are going to focus on the composition null1 for now. If you play your comp, I have here 4 squares that are rotating on their own anchor point. Now, let's imagine I want to create a group animation for the 4 squares over here without losing the animation for each square. Well, what comes in mind is parenting, but actually I don't have a layer to parent to. This is why a null object exists. When you don't have any layer to parent to, you will create a null object. To create a null object, very simple, you right click, you go to new, and you say null object. A null object has been created for you in the comp. Actually, this object will become invisible when you render. As long as you are previewing, it will be visible for you, otherwise you will lose it. And in the timeline here, a layer has been created with the transformation of a normal layer. In the solids here, a solid has been created that is called null3. So actually, a null object is a solid layer. It's being created as a null object. You don't have a switch here to switch any layer to a null. So obviously, to work with the null object, you need to use parenting. For now, I'm making it very simple. Later on, you'll notice it's going to be more complicated and very nice, by the way. So I'll select these 4 layers here and parent them to the null object. You've seen this in the previous lectures. And by virtue of the parenting, position, scale, and rotation animations on the null3 will also be applied on the other layers. A simple animation that you can see here is the rotation, for example. If I click to rotate, okay, I'll select everything to see the anchor points. If I rotate, you notice that all 4 layers are rotating according to the anchor point of the null layer. Okay, this is very practical because later on, the null layer will be invisible. So you're really creating without any visible parent layer. So let's create a very simple animation here. This is parenting. You know it very well, I'm sure, because of the previous lectures. So cool. That's it. Fine. Now, some students will ask why I didn't create a pre-comp. Well, I did not create a pre-comp here to demonstrate to you the use of the null object. Okay, guys? So I will go now to null2. Null2 has more layers. And I want also to create a common animation for all these layers. Of course, you can pre-compose, but slowly you will learn that null object is a bit more powerful than pre-composing just at the beginning. So let's create a new null object. I will right click, go to new, and then go to null object. Here you are. Another null has been created. You notice for every null, you will get a solid layer here. Let's take all the layers and of course parent them to the null object and create a very simple animation. I will open the transform of the null object here. For example, after half a second, I will keyframe the position, the scale, and the rotation. After some time, I would like them to rotate. Okay, so I will rotate them -90. And also I would like to scale them down. Okay, just like parenting. I want to keep them here. I will keyframe also the position. I'm gonna keep them here for half a second. Okay, duplicate all the keyframes. Here you are. Then after 1 second, I would like them to come just over here. I'm gonna move the position. Okay, very fine. Then after 1 second or less, as you wish, take them all out using the position. Here you are. Okay, so actually I grouped these layers through a single animation using the parent and the null layer. The benefit here, the null layer is invisible and it's really under your control. Fine, let's play the animation. It's very simple. They turn, they come out, and they go out. Now, what is more important here that using the null layer, you can start breaking, of course, the parenting, which is now much higher control than a pre-comp. For example, let's take the rectangle here and come at a certain time when it comes over here. Okay, let's open the keyframes. And let's take the rectangle, and of course, you know now Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D on the Mac to split the layer so you can remove the parenting. Here you are. Now, let's say you bring up the position, press P, Shift-S for scale, and Shift-R for rotation. Keyframe all of them, okay? And then come after, let's say 1 second here. Let's go to the align and align it in the middle of the layer. Okay, bring back the rotation to 0 and bring back the scale to 100%. And here you are, you have a very nice animation, quite simple. So you learned a bit about the concept of the null object. Later on, we'll develop on this subject, and with practice, you will get to know when to pre-compose and when to use the null object. In certain animations, effects, and 3D, there is no way to pre-compose. You have to use the null object. Now it's time to practice with parenting. For this practice, please open the file parent method practice. You will find all the PNGs there and the practice activity parent that is totally blank. Now you have to add your baby shapes, you have to add the mother shape, you have to create the animation for the mother shape and all the others you want to parent to the mother shape or to each other. So it's your choice here. It's a very nice animation to practice parenting and see the effect of the parenting. Now, I did not break any parenting yet, but you can play around with it even more and decide exactly how you want this animation. Now, there is no solution for this animation. It's your choice. Do whatever you like. This is your practice activity and challenge for this section. If you have downloaded your resources for this section, I would like you to go to File and Open Project and select Funfair and click Open. You have here a very nice animation I would like you to create. Well, it seems very simple. All the graphics here are from Illustrator. Just open the file and they will come up just like this. It's easy for now. Later on you will know all the details. Let's look at the animation a bit. You notice what's rotating here. You have something in the middle that's rotating, then you have these bars rotating, and then you have these wagons that are rotating but staying facing down. So they stay upright. You notice what's happening. Okay, if you play your animation, nobody is falling out of the wagons. So I would like you to go open this file and create this animation. Please, when you start there, open the ferry all wheels. Don't open the final one. So you really achieve something and you learn how to do this animation. I will see you in the next lecture where I will show you how to create this animation. And welcome to the challenge tutorial. Before we start animating, let's notice what we have and think exactly how can we do this animation with the least amount of work possible. This is the trick in motion graphics, is trying to find the simplest way, the most efficient way. How are you going to create this animation with the minimum work possible? Let's look at our animation. We have the central wheel over here. It's turning, and of course we have the bars that are turning in sync with the central wheel. Now the wagons are also turning with the central wheel. You notice they have a kind of motion path, if you like, that is also circular, just like the central wheel. But in addition to that, the wagons are staying up straight. You want to think about it. How are you going to keep them up straight? What kind of animation are you going to use to keep them, always facing down? You notice? Let's take our ferry, not the final one. I will close this one. And notice exactly what we have within the layers. Of course, this design is imported from Illustrator. They are all vector files. So we notice in the composition here, after importing, it has created a comp. You will see that later, but for now, just have fun. You have all the wagons. Then we have the wheel, that is the central wheel. Then you have the structure. I call the structure here. This is the bars. Okay, I will undo that. And you have the main stand that surely we're not going to animate now. And you have the background. Let's lock the main stand and the background. Now also let's zoom in and select the wheel and the structure. And since you are working on vector files, we can make them rasterize all the time so we can have, some good resolution. As you can see, it has changed the resolution. First of all, you notice the anchor point of the wheel and the structure are perfectly aligned. Okay, that's by luck or by design. So the wheel has the anchor point just over here. And the main structure also has the anchor point just over here. I will undo. So it's easier really to animate. Let's zoom out to 100%. Here you are. Now we understand that the wheel is going to drive the whole animation, of course, through parenting. Let's start. Let's animate the wheel first. I will open rotation, of course. I will keyframe the rotation at the beginning of the composition. Press end to go to the end and give it a single rotation. I think that will be speedy enough. Actually, for now, I have nothing. Now, I'll take the structure and pick whip it to the wheel. So if you are in 2018, you will be pick whipping just from here. Now, if you play our animation, now, of course, the next step is to pick whip all the wagons to the wheel. So I will do that. Select them all, click on the pick whip and drop it on the wheel. Here you are. If you play, wow, fantastic. But now everybody is falling out of the wagons, right, guys? Okay, that's not exactly what you want to do. So what is the solution? Somebody asked me, okay, can I use in the transform auto orient? Well, actually, you cannot use auto-orient, guys, because the wagons don't have a motion path. They are just pick-whipped or parented to the wheel. And even if you try it, it's not going to work. I'll try it for this wagon. You notice nothing is working. Fine. I will undo that for the orient. And then I will select all the wagons. I need to rotate them to reverse the rotation of the wheel. The wheel is going from 0 to 1 full rotation. These guys should go from 0 to -1 rotation. That's what the whole exercise is all about, is to learn how to inverse certain animations when you have used the parenting. Let's open R for rotation for all of them. Here you are. Okay, more. And then keyframe the rotation. I'm not going to make it -1 to 0. It doesn't make sense because it's a full rotation. I will go to the end and just come over and change the rotation to -1. Here you are. Like almost nothing has happened. Let's see now what happened. If I play, here you are, it's done. So this is the logic, how to reverse animation or inverse it if you like. So the wheel is rotating in this direction. The children are rotating in the other direction. So this is clockwise. This is anti-clockwise if you notice how this guy is rotating. And as simple as this, you learned now a very powerful technique of how to reverse animation. I took a very simple example, but this kind of technique will be very useful for you later on. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this practice activity and challenge was fun for you. I will see you in the next lecture.